one of our valuable partners, Forrester, which is Henry Peyret, who will give you the insights in the latest development within the DevOps trends and also DevOps automation, of course, from that independent analytical point of view.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon, sorry. It's hard to follow such good person. We have done something for the collective and not just for their individual benefit. And I would like to talk a little bit about that because that's part of my research. I'm developing some data governance, master data management, also integration capabilities and research. But I am also developing a third subject, which is about values. And we are talking more and more about values. You have heard about from Gert Baron about the fact that we need to include more and more ethics, more and more ways to frame some of the politics, some of the fake news, some of those things. This is coming. And it's coming at the point that for the moment we are talking about digital transformation, but in reality, digital transformation is just a first step into what we are calling then values transformation. And that's the next step for all your enterprise to really prepare for values transformation. So we have surveyed, and we are doing a lot of survey at Forrester. We are trying to get more and more data about what is coming. We have heard that 21% of companies or enterprise leaders are thinking that they are done with transformation. We think they are completely bad. They do not understand that, in fact, they are entering into a period of continuous transformation. So it's never finishing, never. And again, in fact, because the digital transformation is just a first step to the next transformation, which will be about values transformation. We try after that to explain what is digital transformation. So it's about experience and customer experience. It's about operational and operational efficiency, but not just efficiency. We should privilege agility of efficiency. We should obviously bring more and more digital as part of innovation, product, a way of thinking as well, meaning using big data and all that sort of thing to understand data, how the world is changing, because the world is changing. And in fact, we should recognize that most of the largest companies and consulting companies, in fact, are thinking that just customer experience, operational excellence, and digital innovation is a complete transformation for digital. It's false. In fact, the main element is, in fact, the digital ecosystem changing. Why? Because customers are now the master of ecosystems. They will see and force companies to join different types of ecosystems according to provide always more value for themselves. And that's because those customers are continuously looking for new values, new type of criteria for their own choice that will force us and will force every of our companies to completely change. So let me come back about customer experience. It's about digitizing the end-to-end customer experience, what we call customer journey mapping. It's about digitizing the product as part of, again, providing more value to the ecosystem and more value for customers. And then creating trusted machines. Thank you for creating Linux to do that. On the digital operational ecosystem, we should bring more agility over efficiency. We should bring, in fact, the capability to provide more innovation and faster innovation, again, for customer value. And if we are unable to provide those, then on the operational efficiency, we should recognize that we should join or source into a dynamic ecosystem. And that's by bringing that as part of that capability that we will really get the right level of agility plus efficiency at the operational level. Obviously, you start to see the connection with DevOps, and now we should bring DevOps as the capability to support both, to support on that side, but also more and more on that side, obviously. So we are seeing at Forrester different type of challenges and trends. And those challenges are with several best practices. So we should not get only one IT governance, but probably more different type of governance, which are in line with supporting different type of life cycles. We should probably bring another platform which should be still defined for different industries. And that platform should be also in line with providing the right DevOps tooling to support that digital platform. We should extend agility. We group together development and operations, but in fact we recognize that if we are just doing that, it's not enough to really get agility all across the board within companies. So we say that we should extend DevOps to architecture and also strategy, and the way we budget also within the enterprise. Budgeting only once a year is not a good way to do so that's the right agility within companies. We should bring together also IT and OT for operational, not telecom, that was the last name, but now we are calling that operational technology. And how to bring IT when IT is becoming more and more part of any product, any service, any part of the enterprise. That's why we should bring it together, not just about the IT optimized processes, but in fact we should have optimized processes for IT and operational technology all together. And that's why it's not just about processes. We are calling that operating models. Toward a continuous optimization, a continuous change, a continuous transformation. And that's something that where ITIL, COVID, COSO, all the type of best practices that we put in place now for nearly a decade should be not replaced, but change and continuously transform and continuously optimized in that case. So it's not anymore just by taking those best practices that we will be able to evolve. And finally, in fact, getting more automation everywhere, using robotic process automation, machine learning, AI. And I fully agree with what Gert Baron said previously, which is, in fact, every time we are using those words, which are becoming buzzwords, we are doing also potentially mistakes. We are introducing some bias. We are introducing also some threat at the same time. They are absolutely not magic. So the question is, in fact, how to govern machine learning, how to govern AI, how to govern those usage of the more robotic and automation in a way that we will really deliver the right value without bias, without so the type of things where if you are collecting only information coming from white people, in fact, you are discriminating black people. And that's exactly what Gert Baron said previously, which is, in fact, if you don't care about the set of data in front of the type of algorithms, then you are doing a big mistake, and you are taking some risk and getting some problem after that. So we should introduce definitely some values to really manage all of those elements and frame those elements. Let's take a look at more deeply about the change of ecosystem that I talked about previously. In the last decade, we came out in a linear value chain for all our companies, where the company was seen as the center of the ecosystem, dealing with suppliers and raw material, and then dealing with retailers, through retailers to customers. What is the changing mind today is, in fact, in green you have the customers, and the customers are establishing their own ecosystem, choosing different type of mobile wearables, Fitbit and smartwatches and whatever. Again, continuously because they are looking for new values, for new capabilities. An example about that is customers don't want to consume energy for the blue, which represent, in fact, the providers of energy. They want to save energy. And they don't trust, in fact, the providers of energy to really save energy when they are dealing with them. So that's why, in fact, they are choosing Nest, and they are choosing some of those providers in between, which are really providing the value that customers are looking for. So that means what? That means that the companies are facing a big problem Even if they put the customer at the center, they are not all around that customer. So this is a big mistake that most of the decision makers are doing today, which is in fact they should consider the customers as continuously looking for new value for themselves. And those customers, and we are doing some research at Forrester, and I am launching a big idea for Forrester for the next 5 to 10 years, that we are calling values-based customers. We are identifying a new segmentation, a new way of thinking of consumers who will get some applications to help them to get the right value that they are looking for. And that's providing also some interesting new data science, new data metrics also out of those, what I call social computing 2.0, which helps in fact those consumers to consume according to their values. Internally, what is happening in fact within the enterprise? A decade ago, we were using ERP and service-oriented architecture to connect design systems, operational systems, and CRM systems. We have seen with the separation of system of records from system of record, system of engagement, a complete split of different system of. There is also another system of which is about system of operation. That's the smart grid or the smart cities, which are deploying in fact their own system of operation. And for some industries which are manufacturing products which are getting a very different life cycle for those other systems are getting a system of design, which is represented by CAD, CAM, PLM systems, which are helping them to build their own new product, which are including more and more digital capabilities. The main difference between all of those systems are, in fact, they are getting a very different life cycle. The life cycle for system of records is driven by Oracle, IBM, Microsoft sometime with dynamic CRM, dynamic ERP, and that sort of thing. In the case of system of engagement, the life cycle is driven by how to engage employees, how to really engage with customers, and customers, again, are continuously looking for new values. So they are continuously looking for new capabilities out of your own system. And they require, in that case, a life cycle which is asking for Agile, DevOps, Scrum, and all of those technologies which have been developed and best practices around providing the right agility for system of engagement. We are not seeing system of engagement as the only one which requires more agility. If system of records are driven by large software providers, system of operation and system of design need also to evolve and get also more agility. We are getting more agility in getting more innovation for new products, for new capabilities, for new innovation. At the same time, for system of operation, some of the system of operation in some industries are so dangerous, so risky, that you should get in a very strict way to govern those system of operation. Imagine that, for example, someone is thinking that we could get some IoT as part of the train or the plane or that sort of thing. Do you agree to get a fast innovation with agile development and all that sort of thing without caring about the risks? No. So that's a sort of a thing where we should get the right level of governance, the right level of decision for that. That means that for each of those systems, we have a different way to build the business case, a different type of decision making, which is mainly about cost and return on investment in the case of system of record. But if we use return on investment for system of engagement, that does not work. We should use Net Promoter Score. We should use a customer experience. We should use, in fact, a total economic impact, which is an extension of return on investment to take into account flexibility or agility, and in addition also the risk aspect that I was talking about previously. Not just a risk about the cost of project, but the risk about the impact on operations. So you start to see that by the separation of system of engagement from system of record, we are getting different type of governance, different type of ways of decision and different type of justification as well. The same also for system of automation, but again, that's just an example for travel and transportation in that case. For some other industries, obviously, that's not safety, which is the problem. It's about the quality of service or many other factors, which should be the right criteria, the right way to decide. So yes, probably for system of automation, there will be some project which will be agile, but there will be also some other projects which will not be agile and which will be even more driven, more governed than in the system of records. Imagine, in fact, a car, and what we are getting currently about cars, and the Tesla. You have probably heard that Uber, Google, Tesla, all promising, in fact, that we will run 10 millions of kilometers. Okay. Are you getting 10 million of kilometers also in London, where you have so many roads, in fact, which are connected and all that sort of thing? If you are just doing 10 million kilometers in US, probably that will not work in Europe. So that's a sort of decision making that we should really think a little bit more to really get the right level of risk or safety in that case. Another best practice, so the first best practice that I discussed was about getting a different type of IT governance, depending on the type of systems that you are developing, the type of project, the type of application, the type of service that you are delivering. The second best practice is about how to extend DevOps, which was grouped together to get the data operations with taking into account about VOGT and getting a better delivery of project. While at the same time, we need to design solution better. We need to include more architecture. We need to include also more cross-project best practices. And we have seen a framework, and I was the first analyst in the industry to work to talk about safe, scalable architecture framework, agile framework for enterprise, which is in fact taking into account more architecture as part of the design and to extend a little bit, in fact, the DevOps. So it's not just DevOps which is working alone for each project, but when you get more and more projects, in fact, you need to get some solution design across the different projects. But that's not enough. We should also bring together the portfolio of management of projects and the strategic aspect, and that we run around getting a single roadmap which will group together all projects and group also together what are the foundational investments that we need to develop also and bring as part of the decision. So it's about what we are calling at Forrester, and there is some good research from my colleague about collaborative strategic planning. We have developed, in fact, prints and many of those best practices about project management and project portfolio management. It took about 10 years. It will take, again, probably 10 years to make the change management to include agility as part of the strategic planning. So it's a long journey that we should start, and in fact, to extend the agility also on the strategic and budgeting aspect. And that requires, in fact, to bring together also and to develop some of the center of excellence, some of the center of expertise, some of the communities of practice to really support transversely that and to support also that extension to the strategy and strategic planning. Another best practice is, in fact, I see more and more of my customers trying to define what should be the digital platform. They all want to, again, become the center, like Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. They want to bring that central platform that we are calling digital platform. And I see more and more of my customers asking, what should be that digital platform? So some of those customers are just saying the digital platform, particularly in retail, should be mainly about system of engagement. And perhaps to get a system of engagement which is continuously satisfying the new values that customers are looking for, we should bring also a system of insight, which is helping to analyze continuously what is the answer coming from customers, the continuous feedback of the customers. In fact, in retail, and particularly for the largest retailers, what they are discovering is it's not enough. They needed to compete against Amazon, for example. They need obviously to get a system of delivery which is able to promise every purchase how much time it will take to get that in your home, in our home. And obviously that requires us to take a look at the delivery aspect, to consolidate the warehouse, to consolidate all stock, to be able to promise to customers that every time they want something, we are able to promise if it will be delivered in 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. So that's the type of digital platform that we are seeing to try to compete against those largest customers. And they try to build such system, grouping together those different elements, participating to those platforms. For some which are building, in fact, like car manufacturers, more and more customization. The digital platform will include also some co-designing capabilities, all grouped together with the capability to deliver, the capability to manufacture those highly customized products. So you see that the digital platform is not one type of capabilities or segmentation. It highly depends on your industry, highly depends on what do you want and how do you want to position your company as part of and getting that sort of platform. To support that digital platform, obviously, we are asked a lot by the development team what type of capabilities, what type of features the DevOps should get to automate, because ultimately the goal is to automate more and more the DevOps delivery. And we see some of those tooling, the pre-commit checks, the building, the IAC, the unit testing. There are multiple elements, in fact, to really support that continuous integration, continuous delivery, machine or machinery or manufacturing of the IT into DevOps. In reality, we do not need all of those. That depends a lot on the way you want to deliver. But that's some of the capabilities that you should include into your DevOps machinery. So, just to finish about that, I would like to conclude with about some of the recommendations that we are giving you about. First, the center of excellence. They are important to bring transversality about business, about IT, to diminish the role of siloed projects. The siloed project is probably the largest threat into bringing agility within the enterprise. We need to capitalize, we need to get some cross and transversality between those different projects. We need to continuously reassess the right compromise between agility and efficiency. Again, in fact, agility to provide new capabilities and new value for customers tend to diminish your efficiency. So that's about the continuous compromise that we should continuously reassess. Optimizing the operating models, bringing together IT and OT. And again, it's not just working on processes, but it's getting more and more an outside-in point of view. We must recognize that for the last decade, for efficiency reasons, we use only to work on processes from an inside-out point of view, from what is a benefit for the enterprise itself. And never, we have got, in fact, what is the impact of those optimization on the customer or on employees facing customers. And we have done big mistakes about that. And again, in fact, this is affecting directly the customer experience. This is affecting directly what customers value and more asking for more values. So we should bring, and you will see more and more the wording about operating model and operating models. And in fact, this is something that we are seeing today. A lot of consulting companies not agreeing of what is exactly an operating model. So I encourage you to take a look at the operating model and to take a look at the following slide that I'm providing to give you an example of how we should consider an operating model. with an outside-in point of view. What is the impact on customers? What are the impact on their own objectives? So we should develop the continuous transformation of culture and change management to support that DevOps from a center of excellence. And then some of the center of expertise to continue to develop very specialized knowledge about establishing the digital platforms and what are the components, and also assessing and reviewing the automation, because the automation is becoming absolutely key in that aspect. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any question, I'm not ready to answer, I must recognize. I'm not a specialist, I must recognize about DevOps, unfortunately, so I will be failing probably to answer a very precise question. But if you have a question about values, if you have a question about values transformation and what does that mean for all of you guys, I have plenty of ideas about what is the future of our society and what will be the impact on our companies as well. Thank you.